2008, a pivotal year for superhero movies, whether everyone knew it was going to be or not. In July of 2008, DC came out with The Dark Knight, written by Christopher Nolan. It was the second film in the franchise and it became the first superhero movie to ever gross over $1 billion. It's of course noted for being one of the greatest superhero movies of all time, and of course the incredible performance, personally, in my personal opinion, one of the best performances I've ever seen in the movie, by Heath Ledger as Joker. But just 2 months earlier, in May of 2008, something just as, if not more important, was going on. The beginning of the MCU. Hello everybody, my name is Noah Taff, and today will be the start of what I imagine will be an incredibly long series of me taking a look at every single film in the Marvel Cinematic Universe franchise. The MCU has of course expanded a lot since 2008, going from individual films, to crossover films, to more individual films, to bigger crossover films. But where did it all start? Well, it started, of course, with Iron Man. Released May 2nd, 2008, Iron Man starred Robert Downey Jr., an actor with a lot of past personal problems who was looking for a career revival. Not sure if he realized what a golden opportunity he was given at the time, but it ended up really making his entire career. The film, of course, also starred Gwyneth Paltrow as Pepper Potts and Terrence Howard as Brody, aka War Machine. Although he didn't really get to be War Machine, because due to conflicting reasons, some say it was over pay, some say it was over him not getting along with Downey Jr., Terrence Howard actually ended up leaving the project before he even got a chance to be War Machine. And to be honest, I don't really recognize him much as Brody, because I think his replacement did a little bit of a better job. That might just be my opinion. So for this movie review, we're going to refer to him as Terrence Howard, because, well, he's Terrence Howard. When the MCU was brought about, I'm not sure if they knew just how massive it was going to be. I'm sure they had ideas, but I don't think anybody really knew. And you know what they say, first impressions are very important. And when a franchise kicks off, you need a movie to help it get its legs. And goddamn did this film ever help it get its legs. It's incredibly impressive that in a currently 23 film franchise, with 2 more films scheduled to release this year and 4 more scheduled to release next year, that this movie, despite everything that's happened in the MCU, is still to this day widely considered, by me included, a top 5, if not top 3 film in the entire franchise. And that's what we're going to be doing today. We're going to be taking a look back at the MCU's initial kick in the ass, the MCU's godfather, the beginning of everything. We're taking a look back today at Iron Man. So the film starts with billionaire Tony Stark riding in a military buggy onto some unknown location. The movie starts off lighthearted enough for the first minute and a half or so, him having fun with the other military members, until, well, they're attacked by terrorists, I presume. As the military fights them off, Tony is presented with a choice. He could A, listen to the military and stay in the car, or he could B, just run out of the car and run like hell. If you chose B, you'd be correct. Don't worry though, Tony has a cell phone, he's gonna dial for help. Oh, well that looks like, oh, Stark, that sounds familiar. Oh, well, he's dead. He's straight. No, he's fine. He's fine. Oh, no, he's not. He's not fine at all. He's bleeding internally. But luckily, he's been rescued by some nice men with machine guns, so I'm sure everything will work out fine for him. And title card. Sometimes before you can go forward, you have to go backwards, so we're gonna flash back to 36 hours earlier. Hey, look, it's Terrence Howard. He's presenting an Apogee Award. Don't know what Apogee means, but I imagine it's cool, to Tony for his excellence in designing, engineering, and his overall military technology. The award is accepted by Tony's business partner, Obadiah, who was played by Jeff Bridges, because Tony is, well, gambling. After losing a shit ton of money and attempting to go home, Tony's confronted by a reporter, Christine Everhart. This leads to a tense conversation, which somehow leads to wild sex, because that's how life works, I guess. Next day, we get a peek at Tony's amazing house, which I'm sure won't totally ever be destroyed in any way, shape, or fashion, and Christine meets Gwyneth Paltrow, aka Pepper Potts. After Potts swiftly owns her and kicks her skank ass out, we get a little bit of insight into the sexual tension and relationship between Potts and Tony. And dear Christ, is there a lot of sexual tension. But don't worry, we got the rest of this movie and 2 fucking sequels to explore it more. Anyway, turns out Tony has left Terrence Howard standing in front of his plane for 2.5 hours. Terrence Howard's initially very hose mad about it until they're distracted by flight attendants who part-time as strippers. That's pretty convenient. Meanwhile, in fucking Afghanistan, Tony and Terrence land, and Tony gives his presentation of his finest work yet, the Jericho missile. After some refreshments, Tony decides to not get in Terrence Howard's Humvee and instead decides to get in the Fun V, which turns out to be not very fun because it leads to the events at the beginning of the movie. After getting over the initial shock of waking up in an Afghani terrorist base, Tony meets Jensen, a doctor, I believe at least, who was able to keep the shrapnel from going into Tony's heart by using a car battery. They then meet the supposed leader of the terrorist group called the 10 Rings that asks Tony to build the Jericho missile for him. Tony initially refuses, but after some coercing, Tony agrees to do it. Tony decides fuck that noise though and builds a mini arc reactor to keep his heart alive instead of, a fucking car battery. Tony then lets Yinsen in on his big plans, designed for a suit that are gonna get them to hell out of Dodge. Meanwhile, Tony and Yinsen bond a little bit, and Tony learns a little bit about him. He learns that Yinsen's from a town called Golmira, and he has a family that he's gonna see as soon as they leave there. Everything appears to be going well until they're confronted by the true leader of the Ten Rings, named Raza, but we'll just call him Baldy McBalderson. After Tony stops Captain Balderson from almost burning Yinsen's fucking tongue off, Balderson gives Tony a deadline until tomorrow to complete the Jericho missile. That being said, and with new motivation, Tony gets to work. Not on the missile, of course, but on the suit. Just as they're about ready to go, the Ten Rings unfortunately catch on and send men to intercept them. Yinsen realizes they need more time and decides to get them some by reenacting a scene from Star Wars A New Hope. With his sweet-ass suit now complete, Tony proceeds to run wild on all these terrorists in the name of Murica, brother, and also in the name of not dying. Tony's almost down, but uh-oh, there's Captain Baldy Man. What's he doing? Oh shit, he has a rocket launcher. Oh, good, he missed. Oh look, Tony has his own rocket launcher. Oh, he's dead. That's it. No more Balderson. He's just straight dead. He's not actually dead, but you don't know that yet, so shush. But anyway, Tony finds Yinsen on the ground, and that's where we learn the very sad plot twist in this movie. This was unfortunately Yinsen's plan all along, as his family is, well, dead. And Yinsen was waiting to die so he could actually go join them, which is the saddest goddamn thing I've said all day. To put it bluntly, Yinsen dies, Tony's pissed, and somebody's gonna fucking pay for it. Pretty sure using a flamethrower is a war crime, but who cares? After setting pretty much everything on fire, Tony's able to fly out of there for a split second. And now, kids, it looks like it's the end for Tony Stark. He's wandering aimlessly through the desert with no water, no food, and no sign of rescue. Oh, hey, that's convenient. Oh, hey, look, Terrence Howard. Double convenient. After returning home and reuniting with Pepper, Tony is on a mission to give answers. Well, first to get a cheeseburger, but then to give answers. Tony reunites with Obadiah, but then holds a crazy press conference where he sits on the floor, tells everybody about the horrors he saw over in the Middle East, and decides he's shutting down the weapons division in Stark Industries. Jeff Bridges is just a little bit upset about this, but Tony's got an idea. Arc reactor technology. I mean, it's powering his damn heart, so I assume it works. Back at home, Pepper helps Tony replace his arc reactor in his chest, which goes completely smoothly with no problems whatsoever. Tony tells Pepper to incinerate the old arc reactor, but Pepper seems reluctant. This will become a very important plot point later in the movie, and an extremely sad plot point about 23 movies from now. Tony now has an idea for a secret project. He wants someone to share it with. Maybe Terrence Howard. Oh, he's a jackass? Alright, never mind. Just share it with yourself then. Meanwhile, back in the land of a little million grains of sand, Baldy McBalderson and friends find Tony's old suit, which he stares at intently with a big scar on his face. Turns out the rocket launcher didn't kill him. Back in Murica, Tony continues to work on his new secret project, which has mixed results. Luckily, Jeff Bridges is here with good news. Just kidding, the board of directors at Stark Industries locked Tony out of the company, which only provides him more incentive to continue working on his secret project. After finally mastering that pesky flight stabilization, Tony completes his design, and such, the Iron Man suit is born, just a little bit more silver. Tony's AI companion Jarvis advises him to perform more calculations on the suit, but Tony says fuck that noise and goes out for a test flight. And aside from nearly being killed by, well, freezing to death by ice, it goes pretty well, until he has to land. Meanwhile, at the Legion of Doom, Balderson and friends continue to reconstruct Tony's original Iron Man design, but I mean, it's not like they can do anything with it, so I'm sure it's nothing to worry about. Back at home, Tony perfects the final designs of the Iron Man suit, and he notices on TV that he's holding a banquet. He doesn't have an invitation to it, but I mean, it's his banquet, so he can just go. After some awkward dancing with Pepper and a lot more sexual tension, Tony is confronted by
Carrie.
Christine.
That's right.
Who informs him that against his wishes, the company has been shipping out weapons to Golmira and to the Ten Rings, the same group that fucking kidnapped him. Tony confronts Obadiah on this, and then we get to the big plot twist. It's revealed that Obadiah himself is the man who filed the injunction on Tony. Dun dun dun! After watching a chilling news report about the stuff in Golmira and blowing up half his lab for some reason, Tony decides to take matters into his own hands. And thus, Iron Man is officially born. Iron Man arrives in Golmira, kills some people, and saves some families. He then tosses the other Ten Rings leader to said people, who I like to imagine kicked him to death and maybe hit him with various objects. After killing some more dudes and blowing up a tank, Tony decides to fly to hell on Adelaide. Unfortunately, Tony's flying for a no-fly zone and attracts the attention of the US military, who send 2 X-Wings after him. The ever-suspicious Terrence Howard makes a phone call to Tony, who initially denies it, but then, after, well, hiding on the belly of one of the planes, confirms it to Howard then gets launched off the plane and accidentally blows up the other plane. The pilot's parachute is not opening, but Tony luckily saves him at the last minute. Terrence Howard then uses some military bullshit to, well, make the whole thing go away. But luckily, aside from Terrence Howard, nobody found out. Ah, crap. Back at Legion of Doom, the Ten Rings have some visitors. Oh, it's Obadiah. Well, I'm sure he's here with the best intentions, probably to tell the leader off.
If you kill him when you were supposed to, you'd still have a face.
Say what? Yeah, it turns out Jeff Bridges is King Balderson, ultimate bad guy. Who saw that coming? Bald Lubba Ding Dong tries to sell Obadiah these plans in exchange for Iron Soldiers, but unbeknownst to him, Jeff Bridges has, well, some kind of high-frequency freezing device. Obadiah takes the plans and the suit for himself, kills Balderson's men, and well, that's the last we ever see of Captain Balderson, because sorry dude, you're not the main villain of the story anymore. Meanwhile, back in the good old US of A, Tony tries to convince Pepper to go into the office at Stark Industries and steal some shit for him. Pepper initially refuses and well, tries to quit, but after a rousing speech about how it's changed his life and how he knows what he needs to do now, Pepper agrees. Pepper goes through Obadiah's files, including the files showing that Obadiah was indeed responsible for Tony's kidnapping. Pepper's interrupted by Obadiah, who gives her this creepy ass speech about how Tony's changed and all that, but she's able to barely escape with the plans. Obadiah finds out, but luckily downstairs is Agent Colston, who Tony and Pepper had both met earlier. He's from the Strategic Homeland Institute, oh, whatever the fuck, and they set up a meeting where Pepper's gonna tell him about all the bad shit Obadiah did, and he's gonna get arrested and everything's gonna be good, and we're all gonna live happily ever after. Just kidding, none of that shit's gonna happen. Kinda, not really, but also not really. Luckily, Pepper was able to get to Tony before Obadiah shit. Obadiah does the classic bad guy thing of revealing his evil plan, and is able to steal the arc reactor from Tony's heart. Luckily, the powers of convenience strike once again, and Tony still has that other arc reactor that Pepper saved for him earlier. Told you that'd be an important plot point. Obadiah uses the arc reactor to complete his suit, but luckily, Pepper and the agents are here. Obadiah hears them coming though and does this really funny ass run. Like, I've always loved it. Look at it. Back at the house, Terrence Howard finds Tony, who suits up and goes off to stop Obadiah. Terrence Howard looks over and sees the War Machine suit, to which he says,
"Next time, baby."
But funnily enough, there will not be a next time for Terrence Howard. This is his first and last appearance in the MCU before he's replaced by Captain Planet.
Captain Planet, motherfucker.
Terrence Howard, of course, with this becomes the first actor to leave a major role in the MCU, something we would not see repeated until the very next fucking movie. Anyway, Pepper and the Strategic Homeland Institute, whatever, we look for Obadiah and we get a jump scare, because this is 2008 and that's fucking required. Obadiah knocks out S.H.I.E.L.D. and chases Pepper out of the building until Tony is here to save the day. They battle around the city and cause a lot of property damage until Obadiah learns Tony can fly. Haha, you can't fly. Oh shit, he can fly. But who can fly higher? Well, apparently Obadiah can fly faster, but luckily Tony fixed the icing problem. Obadiah did not. Tony lands back on the arc reactor roof and looks like everything's safe now. Ah shit, Jeff Bridges is still alive. Luckily, Tony also has a phone or whatever built into his Iron Man suit, and he uses that to instruct Pepper to overload the arc reactor and blow it up on his signal. After a brief second battle, Obadiah yeets Tony right over the arc reactor, that's not ideal, and gives a rousing speech about how he's gonna kill him and stuff. Pepper reluctantly presses the button to overload the system, Tony gets blasted out of the way, and Obadiah gets, well, electrocuted. It's possible that didn't kill him. Okay, well, that surely the god killed him. Well, anyway, Tony's dead. No, wait, no, it's flickering. It's flickering. Dead. No, he's dead. No, it's flickering. No, it's flickering. No, dead. Yeah, he's fine. The next day, it's time for another press conference. Tony and Pepper meet with Agent Colston beforehand, who gives them the backstory. Tony was on his yacht, Obadiah died in a plane crash, and the Iron Man suit was simply a bodyguard. In more good news, Colston finally managed to shorten the name of his fucking company.
Just call us S.H.I.E.L.D.
The movie ends with Tony initially about to read the prepared statement before deciding, fuck it.
I am Iron Man.
And thus ends the first movie in the MCU. Psych! End credit scene, bitch! Tony comes home after a long day and meets Sam Jackson in an eye patch, aka Nick Fury, the director of S.H.I.E.L.D., who's here to talk to him about joining the Avengers Initiative. And movie over. Man, I feel real bad for the people back in the day who didn't know to stick for the end credits. So obviously Iron Man was an incredibly important film. Without this film, none of this really would have kicked off. Can you imagine if we kicked off the MCU with the Incredible Hulk, or even Thor, or even Captain America? They're all good movies, well, not all of them, but most of them are good movies, but they're not great movies. Without Iron Man, without the casting of Robert Downey Jr., without how good it was, who knows what would have happened? Maybe this thing wouldn't have taken off. Maybe Christian Bale's Batman would forever be just a superior franchise. Maybe DC wouldn't be pressured into making their own shitty universe to keep up with Marvel. Maybe they would have taken it slow and actually made good movies, instead of, Ben Affleck. And after this rousing start for the MCU, you may think, wow, Iron Man really gave it its legs. What's going to happen next? Where could we go next? How much further could we go? Because The next logical step, right, is once you learn to walk, you gotta run. Well, sometimes after you learn to walk, first before you can run, you have to fall directly on your face. But that's for another time. For now, that's all from me today. Hope you guys enjoyed my look back at Iron Man 2008. I hope you'll continue to stick with me for my look back at every single movie in the MCU. We'll be doing all of them over the period of a long time because there's a lot of movies and there's soon to be a lot more. Also, it's not the only franchise I'm doing. February 10th, we will be taking a look back at Godzilla 1954. That's an even bigger franchise. There's like 30 plus movies. Didn't know that when I got into it, but it's too late to back out now, so that'll be fun. But all in all, I hope you guys enjoyed my look back at Iron Man. Thank you to all my patrons for your constant support of me and my channel. You're all named in the description, and I appreciate you guys so much. My name, ladies and gentlemen, is Noah Taff. This is 316 Reviews. This has been my look back at Iron Man 2008. I hope you guys will continue to join me in the future for more Marvel stuff and more Godzilla stuff, and maybe more other stuff that I want to do. Who knows? I think about doing Star Wars, maybe stuff like that. What do you want to see? Let me know what you want to see. But ladies and gentlemen, this has been Iron Man. My name is Noah Tav. I've said that multiple times already, but fuck it. I'll see you guys next time. Bye.